I want to thank everybody for coming today. We're gathered for an announcement of a settlement that I feel is important and really historic for our state. I want to use this opportunity to talk to the people of Hawaii about this subject matter, about why we're here today, what it all means, because I feel most people in the state don't have a good understanding, if any, about the state's obligation to the Native Hawaiian people through the ceded lands or the public land trust. And I'd like to take this chance, since there's going to be a lot of focus on it when we talk about the settlement, to share with the people of all backgrounds in our state why we're going forward with this settlement, the fact that it's an obligation on the part of the people of Hawaii and the state of Hawaii. When Hawaii became a state in 1959, the lands known as the public trust lands, or what people call ceded lands, were set aside specifically in the Admissions Act, in our state constitution, that these lands would be used for 5 purposes. And one of those purposes required us to use these lands for the benefit of the Native Hawaiian people. So this is not something optional for our state. This is something that was required and something that we agreed to and we took on as an obligation. But between statehood and 1978, when voters went to the polls and voted on some amendments to our Constitution, in 1978, one of those amendments said that the proceeds from this public land trust or ceded lands would go to this newly created Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So that was 1978. We are in 2008, and so for 30 years, the amounts of money that were in question, the proceeds, have always been in dispute for almost all of that time. And there have been some attempts to deal with that, and if we didn't go forward with a settlement at this time, could certainly continue to litigate and spend lots of public funds in court and keep this up, but never come to what people felt was a fair and just resolution. In my opinion, this settlement, which resolves all claims of the public land trust between 1978 and today, it's fair to OHA, it's reasonable for taxpayers, and it's the right thing to do. It's fulfillment of an obligation that we have had since statehood, and then specifically with OHA since 1978. The settlement involves both cash and land. It involves $13 million in cash, just over $13 million that would have to be paid by June 30th of 2009, and it also involves around 200 acres of land. The land's assessed value is $187 million, and it involves 3 specific areas in the state. The first is in the Kalailoa area, formerly known as the Campbell Feedlot. This is industrial property of about 110 acres. Secondly are 4 properties that have been known as Kaka'ako Makai, and they total just about 18 and a half acres. And thirdly are properties on the Big Island in Hilo on the Banyan Drive. There are 6 properties there, hotels and a condo hotel, and it totals about 80.4 acres. Besides the cash and land, the settlement requires that it be adopted, passed by the legislature. There's an actual bill that sets out the terms of the settlement, and it also says that going forward from July 1st of 2008, that the annual amount due to OHA will be $15.1 million. So the bill does 2 things. It settles the period between 1978 and now, and June 30th of 08, and then it sets going forward the amount that will go to OHA, which is the amount they currently receive at $15.1 million. And as you know, this issue has been litigated in court for many years, on many occasions, with a variety of different lawsuits, with the final ultimate one up till now, the Supreme Court saying the political leaders have to resolve this issue, or the implication is they will impose a settlement, because this is not optional. This is not something that the state can decide, yes, we'll do it, or no, we won't do it. Yes, we'll give OHA what's required in our Constitution, or we won't. That's not optional. It's a settled issue. These proceeds have to be paid. It's a question of in what amount and how. And I want to thank Mark Bennett, our Attorney General, for working so hard on our side. And I know the Chair will thank the people on her side who helped to bring us to today. This kind of uncertainty is not something that's well received in the bond market. When people are buying bonds, they want to understand clearly what are the total obligations of that entity, whether it's a city, a state, or a company. And in our reports, there's always this caveat that it's an unknown. So this is another benefit to the taxpayers of the state to get this issue resolved. I want to thank the Chair. I think it's a trust that we've built up over the years with her and her team and the hard work of her legal team as well as the Attorney General that allowed us to get to this stage. I'm optimistic that the Legislature will recognize that this is a fair settlement, that it's reasonable, not just fair to OHA and its beneficiaries, but fair to the taxpayers of the state.